I know what you are doing, and that is why I have been recording you for the past 6 months.
On a cold Tuesday night beneath pounding rain, the beam of a flashlight cut across Olivia Turner's face. At 34, the public defender stood calm, her expression steady, though her eyes betrayed no fear. In front of her loomed Captain Frank Reed, the powerful head of the Millfield Police Department, a man once celebrated as a hero for cracking down on crime. But tonight the distance between them was more than an old car parked on the roadside. It was years of injustice, resentment, and secrets left buried. Olivia's voice sliced through the storm. I know what you've been doing, and that's why I've been recording you for 6 months. Her words dropped like a blade, splitting the silence of the rain-soaked night. How could a lawyer with a spotless record, 8 years devoted to defending the poor, ignored and pushed aside, suddenly be caught with 6 pounds of cocaine hidden in her trunk during a so-called random stop? That question alone stiffened Reed's jaw and opened the curtain on a stage where justice itself could be twisted by men in power. Millfield, an industrial town rotting from the inside out, scarred with abandoned factories and racial lines carved into every block, was the backdrop for this tragedy. And Olivia, daughter of Thomas Turner, the former detective branded as corrupt before dying in disgrace, now stood at the storm's center. Reed, 48, with silver streaking his hair and a uniform pressed to perfection, always knew how to pose for cameras. He was praised for cutting crime by 30%. Yet, behind closed doors, Reed ruled with fear and demanded absolute loyalty. Internal investigations vanished before ever reaching his desk. He had personally killed 3 separate inquiries into Thomas Turner's death. Now, Turner's daughter had the courage to trace the outlines of systematic corruption. And tonight, Reed intended to end it on this deserted, rain-slicked road. Olivia knew the eastern road out of Millfield well. Few cameras, no pedestrians, the kind of place Reed would never choose by accident. When the red and blue lights flickered in her rearview mirror, she felt the nightmare closing in. Reed claimed her tail light was out, though she knew every detail of her old Civic still worked. More suspicious still, a second patrol car appeared without lights, followed by an unmarked vehicle with no plates. 3 units for a broken tail light. This was no routine stop. When Reed ordered a search of her car, Olivia fell back on her instincts as an attorney. I do not consent to a search. But in a blink, Reed announced he smelled marijuana, the same tired excuse that had stripped away countless rights. In the blinding downpour, Officer Daniels slipped a plastic bag of white powder under her trunk mat. It was seamless, practiced like a drill they had run 100 times. Olivia saw it, shouted her protest, but Reed's cold stare and thin smile silenced her. And then, the unexpected. Across the street, a shadowed figure raised a phone, its screen glowing in the storm. Someone was recording, a faint thread of hope. But just as quickly, the figure vanished into the night. Reed lifted the Ziploc bag high, playing the part of a disappointed enforcer. Ms. Turner, you've got a serious problem. Daniels clamped the cuffs on her wrists, the freezing steel biting her skin. Olivia screamed, This is a setup. You're doing this because of my father, because I've been investigating you. Her words rang out in the storm, swallowed by the rain. Back at the jail, the news traveled fast. By morning, Olivia's mugshot covered the front page of the Millfield Morning Herald, painting her as a criminal. Captain Reed grave-faced before the cameras declared, It is a sad day when someone entrusted with defending justice betrays that trust. The press devoured his script. Within hours, District Attorney Wilson announced the suspension of Olivia's law license. The files she had built for months on police corruption now sat in Reed's hands. Dozens of poor clients, people who depended on her, were abandoned to the system's cruelty. But even in the darkness, a flame survived. In her cell, a young inmate whispered, Last year, they did the same thing to my brother. Said they found drugs in his car. He's still locked up. The words carved deeper into Olivia's conviction. This fight was not just for her father, not just for herself, but for every life crushed under Reed's machine. When the guard called her name for arraignment, Olivia lifted her head high. She understood the real battle was only beginning. Reed had made a fatal mistake assuming Olivia Turner had no backup plan. The iron door clanged behind her as she was led into cell block D, dressed in an orange jumpsuit, rubber sandals, stripping away her dignity. Guards who once knew her from client visits now lowered their eyes in shame. And to drive the message home, Olivia was assigned a cellmate, Tasha Williams, a nurse arrested 3 months earlier for drug possession, a case reeking of Reed's fingerprints. That night after lights out, Tasha whispered, "Didn't think I'd see you in here?" Olivia murmured back, "I'm innocent. We both are." Those words unlocked the floodgates. Tasha spoke of Johnson Martinez, every one of them people of color, everyone framed with drugs after suspicious traffic stops, their only common thread daring to cross the police. Olivia's heart pounded as Tasha described reporting a teenager nearly beaten to death by officers. 2 weeks later, Reed himself pulled her over. Since then, the list of victims had grown at least 7 in 3 years. "Why hasn't anyone fought back?" Olivia asked. Tasha let out a bitter laugh with what overworked public defenders' evidence that disappears. Witnesses who change their stories. "We're forgotten." A flashlight beam swept their faces. When the guard moved on, Tasha hissed, "They're afraid of you. Terrified." Olivia stared at the ceiling, remembering her father who had investigated Reed before killing himself with drugs planted in his locker. She had never believed it. "Reed thinks he erased my evidence," she whispered. "He's wrong. I recorded everything, every word." Tasha doubted, but Olivia knew. She had prepared for this day. During visitation, a surprise appeared, James Foster, a recent transfer from Chicago PD. Sitting across the glass, his voice low, he said, "I knew your father." "I know you." Olivia stiffened, wary. Foster leaned closer. 3 months in Millfield, I've seen too much. Missing files, dead cameras, cops living better than their paychecks. Reed runs this place like a gang." Olivia's tone was icy. "Why are you here? I've been branded a liar. No one believes me." Foster's eyes didn't waver. "I'm Federal Internal Affairs. Your arrest lit a fire under the investigation. I need your recordings." Out loud for watching ears, Olivia snapped, "I don't trust you." But when he slid a card with a number across the ledge, she memorized it instantly. Hope had found a crack in the wall. The preliminary hearing unfolded in courtroom 3. Olivia shuffled in, shackled under the flash of cameras. Dozens of eyes followed former client's journalists, her younger sister Maya, seated in the front row, her jaw set with determination. Judge Howard Grant, well-known golf companion of Reed, regarded her with weighty disapproval. The court-appointed attorney Price argued for reasonable bail, pointing to Olivia's clean record and community service. Prosecutor Wilson jumped in, citing drugs valued at more than $150,000 and a risk of flight. When Price demanded independent review of her laptop and phone, Grant immediately shut it down. Bail was set at $1 million, an outrageous figure for a supposed first offense. Murmurs rippled through the room. Maya clutched her pen. Olivia gave her the slightest nod, signaling the backup plan was in motion. Meanwhile, Maya slipped into Olivia's office disguised as a reporter. File cabinets were sealed, but she noticed signs of tampering. Plugging in a hidden USB, her heart sank as she found the hard drive wiped clean. Outside, Detective Harris sat in his car, reporting to Reed that the evidence was secured. Yet, when he hung up, doubt clouded his face. 8 years earlier, he had stayed silent while Thomas Turner was destroyed. Now, watching Maya's upright stride so like her sister's, he knew time was running out. In his pocket, a new phone held Foster's number. One last chance to choose a side. Back in the prison dining hall, Tasha leaned close to Olivia and whispered, "There's a warehouse by the old Riverfront Unit 17 Westside Storage. Reed shows up about twice a month. Late nights, luxury cars in and out like ghosts. The shell company is called Clearwater Holdings. On paper, they import furniture." Olivia suddenly remembered her father's final notes. He had mentioned Clearwater Holdings too. She clenched her fist. Tasha went on, "It's not planted fakes. It's real products seized and then rerouted. A smuggling network hiding behind police badges. Olivia exhaled hard. This isn't local anymore. This is RICO organized crime at the federal level. Olivia cut Tasha off with a firm warning. If I get out, don't go near that warehouse. They'll know we talked. A shadow fell over the table. Officer Daniels appeared with a half smile. Turner, your lawyer's here. In the attorney room, Price looked drained. They're accelerating everything. Trial next Monday. Olivia froze an expedited timeline that crushed her right to discovery. The DA is offering a deal, plead guilty, 5 years. Olivia leaned in, voice low. Pass a message to my sister, Clearwater Holdings Unit 17. Price hesitated. They're monitoring your family calls. Olivia switched codes, then tell her to check Dad's fishing spot. She'll understand. She also instructed Price to demand the personal property intake inventory, especially her jewelry and her watch. He nodded, puzzled, but agreed. He didn't know the antique watch carried a micro SD card with encrypted files the last insurance Reed hadn't found. Across town, Maya paced her apartment, her phone burning hot. They're forcing a trial in less than a week. No discovery, no prep. This is a nightmare. On the other end, Price sighed. Grant is rubber stamping everything the DA wants. They've boxed her in. When Maya heard fishing spot and Unit 17, she went still. She dragged out her father's beat-up tackle box, the last thing Thomas Turner left behind, from the back of the closet. Beneath hooks and bobbers lay a sealed, waterproof pouch with a USB drive. Password. His badge number wrong. Mom's birthday wrong. Maya typed, read the screen unlocked. Hundreds of files, surveillance photos, financial statements, sworn interviews, all meticulously organized. A folder named Clearwater appeared property records and bills of lading for a warehouse owned by the shell company with links to offshore banking. The doorbell rang. Maya flinched, pocketed the USB, and checked the peephole. A delivery driver. Maya Turner sign here. Inside the package sat a disposable phone and a note in Olivia's handwriting. Activate only in an emergency. A few numbers are preloaded. Trust no one else. Maya peeked through the curtains. A black sedan idled across the street. 2 men inside making no effort to hide. She called in family leave to her newsroom and dialed Sarah Parker, a former FBI forensic accounting investigator. The corruption case we talked about. It's breaking wide open. I need you now. Sarah's answer was crisp. Where Dad's cabin? Come alone. I'm being followed. The wooden cabin about 20 miles outside Millfield murmured in the trees. The place where Thomas Turner once fished had become an improvised command center. Maya spread files across a scarred table. Sarah combed the numbers while Alex Rodriguez, Maya's old classmate, now in IT, built a secure comms tunnel. Clearwater shipment weights don't match customs filings, Sarah said, tapping a column. They say furniture, but the load weights fit compacted contraband. Alex whistled. Your dad was thorough. GPS coordinates, timestamps, photos. He was assembling a RICO case. Maya's jaw tightened until Reed framed him and pushed him towards suicide. Sarah shook her head slightly. Here's something 5 days before he died. Thomas scheduled a meeting with the FBI. He never showed. Alex's monitor pinged. I'm inside the warehouse security, 4 cameras, gate loading, dock main floor office. Hours of dead black. Then at 2:17 a.m., 3 patrol cars slid in. Reed stepped out of the lead car, followed by Daniels and 2 unfamiliar officers. They unlocked the door, hauling duffel bags inside. Those aren't sealed evidence bags, no tags, no paperwork, Sarah whispered. 30 minutes later they came out, each handed a thick envelope by Reed Payouts. Alex swore. The third guy is Lieutenant Phillips, Internal Affairs. The burner phone buzzed. Foster, I've got news. Reed is prepping his biggest run, $5 million in product tomorrow night. Harris is in, he'll wear a recorder. But the clock is ticking. Reed timed it before Olivia's trial. If she's convicted, he's in the clear. Maya swung by the newsroom to use her press credentials for court records. A black SUV eased up beside her. The window lowered Reed's face. Afternoon, Miss Turner. Beautiful day. Maya kept her tone even. Captain Reed. What a coincidence. Not at all. He stepped out, strolling toward the park. No one else around. "Your sister's in serious trouble," he began. "Because you found drugs in her car," Maya answered. Reed's lip curled. "Allegations without evidence, very on brand for your family." His voice dropped. "I know what you're doing, the cabin, your late-night huddles with Parker and Rodriguez, the warehouse feed." Ice filled Maya's veins. "Where was the leak?" Reed leaned in. "Convince your sister to take the deal and she's home in 3 years quietly. Otherwise, accidents happen in prison, especially to former lawyers with enemies." A jogger approached. Reed stepped back, his professional smile snapping into place. "You have until tomorrow." Back in her car, Maya fumbled the keys with shaking hands. A brown envelope sat on the passenger seat. The doors had been locked. Inside, photos of Maya entering the cabin, time-stamped yesterday, and a scrawl, "We're watching." She started the engine, ditched the newsroom plan, and raced for the cabin. The strategy had to change now. "We need other voices," Maya said, bursting through the door. "Who's Sarah?" Looked up. Everyone Reed framed. Using Tasha's leads, Maya pulled files she had collected. Marcus Johnson, community organizer, who led marches against police violence, arrested for intent to distribute. Elena Martinez, a teacher who filed an excessive force complaint after her brother landed in the hospital. Alex cross-referenced arrest logs, finding more cases. Latino black immigrant, each coerced into pleas by overworked public defenders, unreachable bail and trial calendars fast-forwarded. By midnight, they had 5 additional victims beyond Olivia and Tasha, the same pattern every time: traffic stop, discovery of drugs, bail denied, plea deal shoved down their throats. The burner rang again. Foster. Harris confirmed shipment at 11 p.m. tomorrow. Distribution before Sunday. And Olivia's traffic stop dash cam has an 8-minute cut exactly when Daniels is at the trunk. "Can you prove the edit?" Maya asked. "I have to get into the department server." Sarah spun her screen around. "More Reed deposits $50,000 in cash each quarter to an offshore account 9 years straight, starting exactly when your father began digging." Maya's throat tightened. "There's more." Sarah added, pointing to a courier record. 5 days before he died, Thomas sent something to a federal prosecutor in Chicago, no record of contents. Alex looked up tense. "We have 72 hours until trial. The shipment is tomorrow night. We need a checkmate move." Maya secured a final visitation, their last chance before Olivia faced the judge. They had only minutes through thick glass, the phone line hissing through the jail's recorder. Olivia met her sister's eyes without a tremor. "They'll target the clock in your fear. Don't let them pick the field or the rules." Maya laid it out fast. Dad's USB Clearwater, the warehouse video, Phillips in internal affairs, Foster Harris wearing a wire, and Reed's threat. Olivia nodded, slotting the pieces together. "Tomorrow night we need 3 things at once. 1, Harris's recorded testimony, 2, evidence admissible in court that nails the chain of custody and the money flow Sarah's domain. 3, press big enough that the DA can't bury this. And remember, stay away from Unit 17, let them incriminate themselves on cameras we can actually use." She whispered a new code phrase, replacing phishing spot to unlock a hidden data layer on the watch's memory card, if Maya could get the property list from Price. The buzzer sounded. A guard wrapped his baton. Olivia smiled light, as if despair had never touched her, and set the phone down. The battle plan had a shape. That night in the little cabin under the pines, the 3 of them stared without blinking. Maya unfurled a city map marking the routes patrol units accidentally used to cut by the river. Sarah built a flow matrix from Clearwater to offshore accounts. Alex stood up a digital war room, signal capture, real-time backups, and a secure uplink to a national newsroom primed to receive a detonation package. The emotional rhythm rose and fell like a film score threat. Hope, danger, only this time they were writing the music. Out there, Reed believed he had locked every door. He didn't know that an antique watch, a USB that smelled faintly of bait, and the iron will of 2 Turner sisters held 3 keys that could blow the city's gates wide open. And when those duffel bags came back beneath the warehouse floodlights, the only question left wasn't who's right. It was this who would power the camera at the right angle, under the right law at the exact right second to flip the table. The visitation room buzzed like a muffled curtain of sound, just enough cover for Maya to lean in and whisper Reed had threatened her directly. He knew about the cabin, about their team, everything. Olivia kept her face neutral for the cameras, only giving the slightest nod. They're pushing everything into overdrive. Grant is denying every discovery motion. Price is drowning. Maya gripped her hand. We unlocked Dad's files. We tracked the warehouse, the offshore accounts. Foster says tomorrow night Reed is moving a major shipment. A flicker of worry crossed Olivia's eyes. You spoke to Foster. Be careful. We don't know if he can be trusted. Maya shot back. Harris is cooperating. He'll wear a wire. Olivia leaned forward. Listen carefully. Dad's watch, it's on the property inventory they filed. In the adjustment hole of the band, there's a micro SD card. Reed doesn't know what's on it. Everything 6 months of recordings, photos, documents already mirrored to a secure server. Password is the day Dad died written backward. A guard stepped closer. 2 minutes left. Maya nodded hard. What about your phone and laptop, she asked. Decoys. All the important material was backed up. But Reed has them now. Maya's voice cracked. Time's running out. Trial is Monday. Shipment is tomorrow night. Olivia cut her off. That's not coincidence. He's clearing the board before he moves product. Just as Maya stood, Detective Harris walked in pretending to meet another inmate. Passing behind, he slid a folded note to Olivia's feet. Later in the bathroom, she opened it. Reed has eyes inside the Chicago FBI office. Foster is federal. Watch Phillips' internal affairs is rotten. 48 hours until they transfer you to state prison. Reed owns people there. The clock has started. Outside, Maya found all 4 tires slashed. A note was stuck under the wiper. Last chance. Walk away. By Sunday morning, 36 hours before trial, 14 hours before the shipment, the cabin hummed with urgency. We have to get that watch, Alex said, eyes locked on his rig. Sarah agreed. Without hard proof, it's just suspicion. The burner rang Foster. Reed is calling on all hands tonight about the shipment. I am assigned to escort a prisoner tomorrow morning. They're moving Olivia to state at 6 a.m. Maya reacted instantly. Out of protocol, her hearing is at 9. Foster's tone was flat. They'll mark her high-security risk. Once she's in state custody, she'll vanish into the system. The line cut. The air thickened like lead. Sarah lowered her voice. We act now. Maya pushed Price for the property inventory. Alex put eyes on the warehouse tonight. Alex held up a controller. Industrial drone, infrared, 4-hour flight time. Sarah slid her FBI badge across the table. I'm on leave, but I can still open a few doors. I'll go to the U.S. attorney in Chicago, the same one your dad once contacted. Maya raised her eyes. And me. Sarah answered, do what Reed won't expect. Go back to the scene of the stop. Knock on doors. Someone saw something. Maya drove to the intersection where Olivia was arrested. Across the street, a gas station pointed directly at the scene. The attendant recognized her from the papers. You're the reporter. Your sister's the one they locked up. Maya pressed. Did you see anything that night? He hesitated. I don't want trouble. Maya's voice steadied. My sister was framed. Please. He leaned low. Our security cameras cover that angle. Manager said they were down that night, but they weren't. He just didn't want heat. Do you still have it? System keeps a 30-day backup. He slid a USB across the counter. I could lose my job. In her car, Maya plugged it in. The footage was crystal clear. Daniels approached the trunk, pulled something from his jacket, slipped it inside. Irrefutable proof. She called Sarah. Got it. The plant caught on tape clear as day. Late that afternoon, Price entered the jail with papers for Olivia to sign. Hidden inside was Maya's note. Gas station footage secured Harris cooperating. There's an update, Price said, masking the signal about the recording devices. The DA is offering a reduced sentence if you plead. Olivia caught the code. She scanned the forms, then tucked a small slip into Price's folder location of the watch in the property room and instructions for the cloud server. I need time to consider, she said loudly. Later, Foster came in under the guise of a security assessment before transfer. Everything's ready, he murmured. Harris has the wire. Shipment hits at 11 p.m. Federal eyes will be on it, but they need a direct link between Reed and the drugs. Olivia replied, "Inside the watch is a false bottom, a GPS tracker. I planted it on Reed's cruiser 3 months ago. Every warehouse visit logged. I've built the chain traffic stop, planted drugs, warehouse drop, offshore cash. But Reed has someone inside FBI Chicago. Every time I got close, Millfield arrests spiked." Foster's eyes sharpened with respect. "You didn't just gather evidence, you built a trap." Before dawn Monday, Olivia stood waiting for transfer. Strange Reed himself appeared. "Excited for trial, counselor?" "I'm only excited for the truth," Olivia said evenly. Reed chuckled. Pity about that dashcam glitch. Olivia met his gaze. Like the gas station camera that caught Daniels planting, like the GPS logging every Clearwater run you made. Reed's smile faltered. He waved his men back, then leaned in voice sharp. "You think you're clever. So does your sister. Today you go upstate and accidents happen there all the time." Olivia answered flatly. "You killed my father." Reed's eyes narrowed. Thomas was sloppy. Baseless accusations. Like father, like daughter. Olivia tilted her head. "Not quite. I have evidence distributed, time-stamped in hands you can't touch." For the first time, hesitation flickered across Reed's face. "Bluffs won't save you." Olivia's voice cut cold. "This isn't a bluff, Frank. This is checkmate." The cell door burst open. Price entered with Sarah Parker at his side. Behind them stood Assistant U.S. Attorney Davis from the federal office. Captain Frank Reed Davis announced, "Flashing a warrant, you are under federal arrest for narcotics trafficking, destruction of evidence, corruption, and conspiracy under the RICO Act." Reed's hand darted toward his holster. Foster was already behind him, gun drawn. "Don't!" Reed snarled. "You picked a side." Foster's voice was calm. "I've been working with the federal task force for 11 months. Your show is over." As agents clamped cuffs on Reed, Olivia stepped forward. 5 days before he died, my father sent files to the Chicago U.S. Attorney. They've been building this case for 8 years. Reed's face twisted as Olivia raised her wrist, showing her father's watch. "He recorded you too." The steps of the Millfield courthouse were packed with cameras. U.S. Attorney Michaels stood at the podium. "Today marks the culmination of an 8-year federal investigation exposing one of the largest police corruption networks in recent history." Behind him stood FBI agents, federal prosecutors, and Olivia free after 6 days in custody. Maya held her sister's hand as the flashbulbs popped. Captain Frank Reed and 11 officers of the Millfield Police Department have been indicted on multiple federal charges, including narcotics trafficking, falsifying evidence, witness intimidation, and conspiracy. Michaels continued. Television screens across the state broadcast footage from the warehouse, raid duffel bags, cash envelopes, shipping manifests that matched a $5 million load, and Lieutenant Phillips, head of internal affairs, being led away in cuffs. "We have also identified and arrested the leak inside the FBI's Chicago office," Michaels said. "This case began with the work of Detective Thomas Turner, the first to flag irregularities in evidence management. His daughter, public defender Olivia Turner, carried on his investigation at enormous personal risk, working with federal authorities to expose corruption that had spread into the very heart of Millfield's justice system." The crowd's emotions swelled, rage release, and finally, a heavy silence. Olivia lifted her gaze toward the gray Monday morning sky, her fingers wrapped tightly around her father's old watch. Inside it lived the footsteps of a man who had once walked the halls of justice, never making it to his final meeting. At her side stood Maya, the unyielding heart of the Turner family, and behind them a small group of ordinary people who had dared to say no to dirty power. The fight was not over trials, disciplinary hearings, wrongful conviction suits, and appeals of fast-tracked cases still lay ahead. But on this morning, one truth rang clear. Justice could be bent. It could be delayed, but when the light was strong enough, it would bend back. And Millfield, for the first time in years, drew a long breath as though the city was ready to rewrite its own story. The charges against Olivia Turner were formally dismissed with prejudice. Judge Grant was forced to resign before impeachment proceedings could begin. District Attorney Wilson faced disbarment for his role in the cover-up. Detective Harris received limited immunity in exchange for a testimony that identified 7 innocent people framed under Reed's schemes. Their cases were reopened, offering a long overdue chance at justice after wasted years behind bars. At the police station parking lot, Reed's nameplate was quietly unscrewed. Inside, Foster, now acting commander, oversaw the sealing and cataloging of evidence boxes for federal prosecution. In a private moment at the courthouse, Assistant U.S. Attorney Davis handed Olivia a folder. Your father's original notes. He was a principled man. Olivia's throat tightened. Was he murdered? Davis answered cautiously. The case is being reopened. But between us, the medical examiner who ruled it suicide just had his license suspended for falsifying reports at Reed's request. The final painful pieces were sliding into place. 6 months later, Olivia stood at the podium of the newly renovated Millfield Community Center. Behind her hung a plaque, the Thomas Turner Justice Initiative. Her voice carried across a packed hall. Today we launch a program to provide legal and emotional support for victims of systemic injustice. No one deserves to face the machinery of law alone. In the front row sat 7 former inmates once framed by Reed, now fully exonerated. Among them was Tasha Williams, Olivia's one-time cellmate, now serving as community coordinator for the initiative. The Millfield Police Department operated under federal oversight, enforcing sweeping reforms, body cameras, a civilian review board, and transparent evidence-handling protocols. Applications from minority recruits tripled, a sign of trust slowly being rebuilt. Sarah Parker left the FBI to head investigative operations for Olivia's initiative. Alex Rodriguez designed a secure communications network for whistleblowers. And Maya, with her investigative series Badge and Betrayal, won a National Journalism Award and spurred investigations in 3 neighboring counties. What began as reckless courage had grown into a durable alliance against injustice, a living example of solidarity and faith. After the ceremony, Olivia walked to the cemetery. She knelt by her father's grave, the headstone now corrected. Detective Thomas Turner, 1965-2017, died in the line of duty. She laid his watch beside fresh flowers. We finished what you started. Reed will spend the rest of his life in federal prison. Your name has been cleared. The investigation had officially reclassified his death as homicide, not suicide. Reed now faced additional charges, though he continued to deny everything from behind bars. Rising, Olivia caught Foster's eyes from a distance. The man once considered an outsider was now an ally in reform. Your father would be proud, he said quietly. Olivia answered, There's still so much to fix. Exposing one system doesn't erase the rest. Foster nodded. But it's a beginning. Olivia looked back at the grave one last time as autumn wind rustled through the trees. Yes, it's a beginning. In her pocket, her phone buzzed a text from Maya. A new whistleblower just came forward from the sheriff's office. Says another Reed is rising there. Olivia drew a long breath. Justice, she realized, was not a destination, but an unending journey. And she, with those beside her, was ready to keep walking that road.